Good evening, everybody. Welcome to all. Now we are starting the 45th episode of Pudukkottai Budan online weekly webinar program from ISA Pudukkottai City Branch. Today we have some interesting topic about basic one, oxygen. So I now invite our Secretary Dr. M. Periyaswamy to deliver the welcome address and introduce the speakers.
Thank
Over
you,
to
sir.
Dr. Periyaswamy.
Thank you, sir. Respected Academic Chairman Dr. A. L. Meenachandram, sir, President Dr. Suresh Kumar, sir, President Dr. David, members of ISA Pudukkottai, and delegates, those who are attending this program regularly on every Wednesday. I welcome you all on behalf of ISA Pudukkottai City Branch. Interestingly, we entered the 45th online ISA webinar program, Pudukkottai Budan. Continuously, we are conducting this program from last March 23rd of 2022 without any interruptions, with so many interesting topics by eminent speakers of various part of the country. I hope these programs benefit the postgraduates and practicing anesthesiologists all over the country. Everything's going because of our academic chairman Dr. A.L.M. sir and our president Dr. Suresh Kumar sir for the hard work and continuous support, and they shows the enthusiasm to conduct this program regularly on every Wednesday. Once again, I would like to thank our academic chairman and president and speakers of various part of the country, those who are participate this program and making this program very interesting and lively one. These are the various topics from 23rd of March 2022. And today we entered this 45th online webinar program, and we are having three interesting topics. One is oxygen journey, and another one is artifacts in a pulse oximeter, and third topic is oxygen cylinder. This oxygen is very important for each and every anesthesiologist. Without oxygen, there is no anesthesia. I think so. Everyone must accept this. So everyone, after entering the theater, we used to check the oxygen level and oxygen presence only. So this is the initial and foremost part of the anesthesia career for the lifetime of anesthesiologist. So today we are having three eminent speakers, and for that we are having three topics, and Dr. Grishma Madhishwar is going to talk, assistant professor, Mysore Medical College and Research Institute, Mysore. Madam is going to talk about oxygen journey. On behalf of ISA Pudukkottai, I welcome you, madam. And another topic is artifacts in pulse oximeter. For that, I invite Dr. Sonika S, President, Mysore Medical College and Research Institute, Mysore. On behalf of ISA Pudukkottai, I welcome you, madam. And
thank you, sir.
Topic is going to talk by Dr. eminent speaker Dr. Parthasarathi, Professor, Mahatma Gandhi Medical College and Research Institute, Pondicherry. Sir is going to talk about oxygen cylinder. For these interesting topics, I invite Dr. Manjunath as a chairperson. He is professor and HOD, Mysore Medical College and Research Institute, Mysore, Karnataka. On behalf of ISA Pudukkottai, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
we are having, and any doubt, you can send mail to isapudukottai@yahoo.com regarding this online ISA webinar program. And anyone wants the video clip of previous weeks, you can send mail to this isapudukottai@yahoo.com mail address. And today we are going to talk about some oxygen related topics. So regularly we are using pulse oximeter in our day-to-day practice. A small note about that: pulse oximeter pleasantly hold our finger. Pulse oximeter pleasantly hold our finger, perfectly read our oxygen saturation. Pulse oximeter emit infrared and red light, easily read oxygen and deoxy hemoglobin level. Pulse oximeter reveal our arterial oxygen level and reflect our actual hemoglobin position in the blood. Pulse oximeter is bless our heartbeat. It is beep our pulse rate. It's giving beep sound regarding related to our pulse rate. Pulse oximeter is glad our feeling, grace our life with the pleasure. With this, I once again thank you all for attending this program. Over to President Dr. Suresh Kumar sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Dear Secretary Priyaswamy, my treasurer Dr. David, respected academic chairman of our branch, Professor Dr. A.L. Meenakshi Sundaram, today's chairperson of our 45th webinar, Professor Dr. Manjunath sir.
Thank you, sir.
Today's speakers for this CME webinar, Professor Dr. Pathasarthi sir, Dr. Grishma madam, Dr. Shonika madam, the anesthesiologists who have come here to participate in this event. I welcome you all as president of our branch, and I wish this program is a good success. Coming to the Pudukkottai Budan, I have witnessing, not myself, everybody is witnessing for the past 3 decades, the rapid rise of non-communicable diseases and chronic illnesses like pain conditions, chronic pain conditions due to our sedentary lifestyle affecting our body. At the same time, we are also witnessing rapid progress of anesthesiology field in techniques, drugs, new agents, etc. So at this juncture, our academic chairman have decided to update our knowledge in this forum as Pudukkottai Budan. And for the past 44 weeks, and now it is 45th week, we have covered so many topics and so many eminent speakers have participated in this program. Thanks to Dr. A.L.M. sir. And by the way, we are also giving a platform for the budding anesthesiologists. A resident, every webinar, a resident will talk on topic. She will be given 15 to 20 minutes. So this is also another platform where the residents or budding anesthesiologists are encouraged to participate in a major event, pan-India event. So I thank all the branch members and our academic chairman for making this event a grand success, Pudukkottai Budan, running for the 45th week. And today's topic is very, very interesting. We need not tell the public about oxygen or pulse oximetry, because for the past 3 years, everyone in India know about oxygen, and every home is have one pulse oximeter thanks to COVID-19. So the importance of oxygen was very well known to public. So at this juncture, we have 3 important topics. Our famous Parthas, Dr. Parthas is going to speak on oxygen cylinders, which is a very good topic for practicing anesthesiologists. And Madam Grishma is going to talk on oxygen journey. It is a very interesting terminology, oxygen journey. I don't know whether the journey is from James Priestley or from the world, which started with, I think, 2% or 5% oxygen in the atmosphere. So it's an intriguing topic. And Dr. Shonika is going to speak on artifacts in pulse oximetry. We know about pulse oximetry, SpO2 levels, and the pulse rate and the waveform. But she's going to talk on artifact. So it will be also very useful for the practicing anesthesiologist. So at this juncture, I request everybody to participate fully, and you participate in the discussion also at the end of the topic by being fully in this webinar and make it a grand success and get some take-home messages useful for your practice. Now we hand over the proceedings to our academic chairman, Dr. A.L.M. sir, to conduct this webinar. Over to Dr. A.L.M. sir.
Thank you, dear President, Secretary Dr. Perisami, Treasurer David, other distinguished members of Pudukkottai ISA, the distinguished faculty today, Dr. Manjunath Honavara, Dr. Grishma, Dr. Sonika, and our friend Dr. Parsardi. At the outset, I thank all the people because this topic is totally a different one. Just because our president pointed out whether this journey starts from Joseph Priestley, I want to say, Madam selected the topic as oxygen trans journey inside the body. But I only that what is inside the body, let her be a free bird. She can talk anything, so let it be oxygen journey. Even it may be a cylinder journey also. The oxygen is transported from one place to another. But at this time, see the Mysore, which is supposed to be a cool area, is going to talk about oxygen. So the youngest postgraduate, that is youngest faculty today, Dr. Sonika, is a resident of Mysore Medical College, and Dr. Grishma is assistant professor of Mysore Medical College. So these now it is 50-50. Just like I used to say in my name Meenakshi Sundaram, it is for names, it is not for namesake. Even in the name, I have given 50% reservation for woman, Meenakshi, 50% reservation Sundaram. So this time it is 50-50. So 2 lady doctors and 2 male doctors, it is a good combination. That too, when Mysore is famous for palace, another famous thing is there, Mysore Medical College. So it is a fantastic thing. And as far as anesthesiology is concerned, they are doing a tremendous work in Mysore Medical College. So now the budding anesthesiologist from Mysore Medical College is Dr. Sonika. Little bit budded is Dr. Grishma. And already a tree with the branches will be Dr. Manjunath. And see now, these people, see, I have seen Dr. Sonika and Dr. Grishma for the first time. But they are very good at their academic caliber because they are selected none other than by Dr. Manjunath. So we should congratulate Dr. Sonika is fortunate to chair the podium with the topmost speakers of the country. Dr. Parsardi, I need not tell anything about him because the alphabets in the name Parsardi will be lesser than the degree which he possesses. He possesses all the degrees available on earth as far as one can achieve. So we used to say what we have learned is only handful, but he has acquired degrees worth the ocean. So what not, he is there everywhere, and moreover, not only as an anesthesiologist, he is taking part in social welfare activities. He is a poet. So he is such a great man. And whatever topic you say, he is already having a recorded version for that. So he is a walking encyclopedia of anesthesiology. And so we thought to chair this session for all these 3, whom we can select. So it is none other than Dr. Manjunath. Dr. Manjunath is a very good friend of mine, more than 2 decades. And always he is smiling in spite of being in anesthesiology department. So his smile is more popular than the academic career. And I have seen him from the budding stage as a speaker coming to the national faculty level. He's too good. The peak is at this Madurai, Tamil Nadu Anesthesiology State Conference conducted at Madurai. See, he has followed the ethical standards. I want to inform Dr. Sonika, the budding speaker, whenever we are talking from the podium in a webinar, scientific webinar, we are not supposed to quote any trade name, any company name. And he was talking about that novelties in anesthesiology, but he has never mentioned any company name. Even two companies were having stalls there, and they even informed me Dr. Manjunath is interested, but he never made a mention about that. So what I want to convey, the minute level he started concentrating, that is a good quality of the speaker. I'm actually I was thrilled by the way in which he spoke on that day. And now our Pudukkottai Budan is having a good impact because Dr. Chakrarao is there. Even the top senior people, Dr. Agnihotri is there, Dr. Santa Parthiban is there. These are all the people I can see immediately. So the topmost faculties are waiting to listen to Dr. Sonia, the youngest person there. So that is the great credit for her also. Now I don't want to stand in between the delegates who are waiting to hear. That too, oxygen cylinder, first Parsardi will talk. Parsardi will be such a thin person. He is talking about a cylinder. That is a big thing. So Dr. Parsardi will start, followed by Dr. Grishma, followed by Dr. Sonika. So the discussion will be at the end of all the three lectures. Now I hand over the session to our scientific chairperson, Dr. Manjunath Honavara, professor and HOD, Mysore Medical College and Research Institute, Mysore. Sir, please.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, the ASA Pudukkottai branch president, secretary, and chairperson, Dr. ALM, sir. He is almost the teacher to me, Meenakshi Sundaram, sir. And he has taught me the way what I want. Initially, just I spoke in front of that in 2006. And that day I was in a podium and I spoke in front of him in Mangalore. I think you must have forgotten. Later he told me regarding the how to speak and how to prepare everything. So I followed it, and he is definitely a very good speaker. I think to me he is definitely one of my favorite speakers in national level, and I am happy for that. And today we're going to speak about oxygen journey. I think most of the in 2019 onwards, that's because of the COVID. So each and everyone knows about oxygen. This oxygen is very important, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry talked about oxygen during that period of time. So it is better that we know oxygen. So it is most of one of the topic which is searched in the internet from 2019 onwards. It's the most of the time. Thus, the utilization of oxygen has increased, as I told earlier, from 2.5 metric tons to 6,006.5 metric tons by now. So we should know each, because we are technical persons, we are using oxygen every day in and day out. It's our duty to know that the oxygen, how it is utilized in the body, how it is commercially prepared, and how it is journey starts in the body and outside the body. So to know about these things, we have selected two speakers from our department. One is Dr. Grishma, will going to speak on this, and other Dr. Sonika will going to tell about how to monitor the oxygen saturation level. And third thing, Dr. Parsarthi sir is going to speak on cylinders, I think. So I will, without taking much time, I will allow the speakers to take this on the podium, and we'll start the proceedings. I hope Dr. Meenakshi Sundaram sir will start the proceedings.
Dr. Manju, it is your session. You have to conduct. So
Yes,
first,
sir.
Dr. Farsardi will start,
Okay,
followed
sir.
by Grishma and Dr. Sonika. It is
Okay, sir.
entirely your session. We will interfere
Okay, sir.
only
Okay,
at
sir.
the end. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. We're going to start, and at the end of the session, we're going to discuss. And any questions, I think we can post it in the question box, and we're going to answer it in meantime. So I request Dr. Parsarthi to come to take over the proceedings. Dr. Parsarthi, sir.
Yes, sir. We'll share his video.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel Pain Free Partha and my website painfreepartha.com, which contains most of my PPT slides. And good evening, everyone, for this webinar. Good evening. So, anything I talk, anything on academics, I put a big salute to the legendary teacher of 2 centuries, Professor Ravi Shankar, who is currently the director of Sea Dreams in our institute, Mahatma Gandhi Medical College and Research Institute, Pondicherry. Now, what is a gas cylinder? Gas cylinder is a term that is commonly used to describe a pressurized container. It's a container and it is something which is pressurized, used for storage and transport. When you go into the definition of a cylinder, it is only like this. Gas cylinder is a term that is commonly used to describe a pressurized container used for storage and transport. It does not mention this. You see, what is the use? I am going to give oxygen through this gas cylinder. I am going to give nitrous oxide through this gas cylinder. It's not mentioned in the definition. Modern, we will go to anesthesia part and not other gas cylinders. And we will orient more towards oxygen and less towards other gases. Okay. So modern cylinders are manufactured using lightweight, strong. It is weight is less, but it is strong. Chrome molybdenum steel, which as well as conforming to stringent material standards, can be filled up to 300 bars. So I have already told it is made up of an alloy. Okay. Alloy means mixture of metals. So what is this mixture? Iron is approximately 97%. See here, 97%. Molybdenum, chromium, phosphorus, sulfur are all less. What is more here? We can see chromium and some molybdenum and some manganese and some carbon. So this is an alloy of all these things, while iron is the most important and major component of a cylinder. There are some cylinders which has got aluminum liners, which is a term then strengthened by wrapping a filament such as Kevlar or carbon fiber coated in epoxy resin circumferentially along the parallel length of the cylinder. May be used for MRI room. So these are aluminum wrapped cylinders which is specifically used for MRI rooms. So aluminum cylinders, MRI rooms. Otherwise, it is iron and majority is iron and other is chromium molybdenum. Now, what are the parts of the cylinder? We have not shown the body here. The body is here and the shoulder is here. The neck is here. This is the neck and this is the shoulder. And this is the valve. The neck is tightened with a valve. Wood's metal is the paste used which melts with to allow gas to leak. So wood's metal is the paste used here. So there is no explosion. See, for example, pressure rises. This wood's metal flush melts and gas leaks. There is no explosion. That is why they paste this as wood's metal. Okay. So this is the valve. This is the neck. This is the shoulder, and this is the body. So this is how a cylinder passes. Now we will go to the valve because valve is important. Valve, I am again telling you there are a lot of parts in the valve. Valve is made up of brass or bronze. And this is the cylinder valve. This is the gland nut. And this is the valve stem. And we are having port for gas. This is the pin index. And this is the screw thread to the cylinder. This is how the valve. This is cylinder body. The neck is there. The screw is tightened here where we have the oxygen. From here the oxygen will come and through this side out. And these are the pin index safety systems. And this is the cylinder valve. And this is the gland nut where we move like this when we think that there is some leak. Here you can see again is a cross section of the valve. This is the valve seating. What you call as valve seating. As soon as you open the valve, there is a gap so that there is a flow. This is what is called a valve seating. This is true for any valve. So valve seating. This is the gland nut. We tighten it sometimes in leak. This is the spindle. You can see the spindle. This is the valve seating. This is the gas escapes from here and through here. This is the outlet. And now there are pin index holes. There are a lot of valve types. This is pin index side spindle. You can see the side spindle. Here you can see it's not the same side. Now you can see the integral valve and a regulator. The valve is there. There is also a pressure regulator. What's a pressure regulator? We will discuss later in pressure regulator section. Pressure regulator means high pressure to low pressure. At whatever be the high pressure, the low pressure remains the same. Okay. Now, if you take an LPG gas cylinder of our house kitchen, full same gas pressure outlet, half same gas pressure outlet. That is what is called a pressure regulator. Now we can have hand wheel valve, we can have bull nose valve, pin index valve, hand wheel valve with side outlet. All these are the types of valves. Now this is what is a routine anesthesia machine. You can see this is the gland nut, spindle. This is are the two pin index systems, and this is the port for outside oxygen. This is the neck, this is the shoulder, and the body is coming. Large cylinders, when you see here it is medical oxygen pipeline. These are fitted to large cylinders of medical oxygen, medical air. You can see here. So that it's a different type. See here, this is coming out like this and going out like this. So this is the inlet and outlet where this is the pin index system. F and G are bigger ones. Sometimes they may have pressure relief. You see here, the gas is coming from the cylinder. Now it is going out through a spring in this outlet. This is outlet, this is inlet. Now if the pressure exceeds, this valve may come out. This will go out. That is what is called a pressure relief device. What was the pressure relief system, safety system before described? All these things are fitted with wood's paste, wood's metal paste. It melts at high pressure. So pressure gas melts and the gas leaks, pressure doesn't develop. This is a original pressure relief valve. There are O-rings fit properly. If sometimes the leak comes, we have to change this green O-ring of a bull nose valve. This is a bull nose valve. This is the hand wheel valve. Large nitrous oxide cylinders for use on cylinder manifolds, on carbon dioxide cylinders of size F and G are fitted with this. So I'm not very specific only to oxygen cylinders in this lecture. There are some interplay of some other cylinders also, okay, which are surrounded by protective guard. Here this is a protective guard. So we cannot, sometimes something hits here, this will not get damaged, or this will not get damaged. This is a protective guard. So this is integral valves. Eliminates the risk of incorrect regulator attachment. See here, what is pressure regulator? After the cylinder comes, it goes out. There is a pressure regulator. Cylinder contains 2000 pounds per square inch of pressure. After the pressure regulator, it becomes 48, 5 to 60. This is a pressure regulator. Okay. Now, in the spindle valve itself, there is a pressure regulator. It means what is the advantage? You cannot exchange the pressure regulator for oxygen and nitrous. It is an integral valve with the pressure regulator. It is, there may be sometimes two outlets, one here and one here. So this is an integral valve, a valve with the pressure regulator and the gauge which tells how much is the pressure. Now we have seen neck labeling. In the neck label, what are all the things should be there? It should contain oxygen. It should contain the chemical symbol. It should contain what is the serial number. It should contain pressure at the last hydraulic test. When was it tested like? I'm again telling you, this should be the neck of the cylinder. And sometimes they put a tag like this and there will be a green tag. That is different. That is different. The tag may be torn and thrown out. Some other tag may be there, but this is not replaceable. this will have the symbol like this. So the neck should contain what is the gas. Now we will go to pin index safety system. That is described everywhere and that everyone knows. 7 hole positions on the circumference of a circle of a 9/16 inch radius centered in the port. Now we have a port. Okay. 9/16 inch radius. Now it is the radius of curvature. Radius of curvature is this. This is 9/16 inch like this. Radius of curvature 9/16. There is something. And that curve contains holes like this or pins like this if you arrange 4 millimeter in diameter and 6 millimeter long assigned in the number of gases. Now we can see here these are the 2 pins. These are the 2 pins. Now you can see these are the 2 pins and the cylinder will contain the holes. And this is the oxygen port outside. These are the holes. And these the 9/16 of the radius line. Where are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the holes. Now we can see 2 and 5 is this oxygen. This is the Bodak seal where we have to keep it like this here. This is the Bodak seal and this is usually a rubber with a brass covering. Now you can see this is the 2 things or the pins from the yoke assembly and here there are 2 holes in the cylinder which will fit here. So we cannot put nitrous oxide because it is 3,5. The holes and pins will not match. So that is why you cannot. This is one of the safety systems, pin index safety system. This pin index safety system is also available in some of the flow meters. Flow meters are coming down now. There will be 2 pin indexes. So here this pin index, NOx is 7, air is 1525. This is about the pin index. Pins is this side and the holes here. Pin index is there, but manual opening of newer valves. You can also open it manually. Certain valves, correct. We can do it like this. We don't need machines or equipments or some spanners in emergencies. These are made up as so that they can be manually opened. So that if you don't have any spanners, but you have cylinders, yes, we can do this. This is what is pin index oxygen system. Oxygen 2,5, nitrous 3,5, and air is 1,5. This is what they mostly ask. Oxygen is 2,5, nitrous oxide is 2,5, and air is 1,5, and NOx is 7. Return check valve and yoke plug. Oxygen to nitrous. If you open the oxygen, will it go to nitrous? No, it will not go. No flow. If one cylinder is attached, no leak. Use the yoke plug. Now we have 2 cylinders. Okay. Now we have 2 cylinders. If one cylinder is open, another cylinder there is no cylinder at all. It is open to the atmosphere. The port is open to the atmosphere. There we need to plug with the yoke plug because sometimes, rarely, we can have some leak. Yes, we may need to plug the yoke plug here, and this I think that adapter is missing. So this is the pin index system, and this is the port where we need a metal one ball like this is there. You just introduce it and tighten this. So that is what is called this thing. So you can see here. This is why I am given is this is a old machine. These are newer machines. The basic structure don't change. It is looking slightly stylish. That's all. But the base structure is the same. Oxygen and air are compressed gases while nitrous is liquefied. That we know. We have to know. Inside the nitrous cylinder there is liquid, but inside the oxygen cylinder completely gas. So while using a cylinder of nitrous oxide, the cylinder pressure tends to fall mainly due to the cooling of liquid as it vaporizes and the consequent fall in vaporizer. If the flow is interrupted for a brief period, the gauge will again read full. So in oxygen, you have opened it and the patient is getting oxygen. And after some time, same slowly it will fall down. For example, 150 length, it will come down to 70. Half of the cylinder is empty. But what happens in nitrous oxide? There is a liquid. So there is a vapor in the cylinder upwards. As soon as you open the nitrous oxide and give the flow to the patient, the upper vapor portion will go to the patient and slowly the pressure seems to decrease because the pressure is being caused only about the gas. Now you leave it for some time. Again it vaporizes and the pressure will come normally. So that is what is being told here. Oxygen is white shoulder, black body, nitrous oxide, light blue, medical air, black and white. Due to variations in color, chemical changes in paint pigments, color should not be used as a primary feature. Yes, we should see it. Sometimes color chemical changes in paint pigments. This slightly, you have seen most of the oxygen cylinders in medical colleges will not be black with the white shoulder. You can see some of the black and some of them be lightly brown because of rust and all these things. So that is not, that is one. Color coding is one. Win index is one. All these things are safety mechanisms only. But believe less in color coding. Now we can see the sizes. Yes, Z, X, Z, C, C, D, AD, AD, BD. So many things. It is impossible to remember. Can we remember the size on all these things? No. This is the person, 6 feet. You can see 6 feet cylinders. Now size according to us, what is given in books is E, F, G, H, I and all. Now what we practice is A, B, C. Very simple. What we practice is A, B, C. What is A? That we connected to the boils machine. Small cylinder with boils machine. That is what is A. Where the oxygen is 2000 psi pressure and the content is 660 liters of. Now B type is what we use in wards, where we open the cylinder and we have a flow meter and we connect it and patients get. That is B type that contains around 1350 liters or 1400 liters. Okay. The bulk or the D type, where we can see the bulk type in many of these, and it is oxygen plants. There the cylinder capacity is 7000 liters. A, B, D. And we have to put C now. A is small cylinder which is fixed to the boils machine. B is a cylinder which is of approximate size which is used in war. D is a bulk cylinder which is used in gas plants and sometimes in some of the big nursing homes we have 3 gas cylinders in the operation theatre backside itself. Now oxygen usually does not come in C side. Carbon dioxide cylinders for pneumoperitoneum. Whenever we are doing laparoscopic surgery, there is a screen. Behind the screen, there will be a cylinder. You can see that is the C-type cylinder that is useful for carbon dioxide. Don't confuse with E, T, H, O and all. Write this and tell this in the exam. You are okay. A corresponds to E in the British thing, but confuse thing. A is cylinder attached to the boils machine. B is routine big, slightly big cylinder which is used in wards, and D is a bulk type cylinder. C is for pneumoperitoneum carbon dioxide. Nitrous A type may be containing 750 psi, 1500 liters. Here is 2000, it is 750. Here is 660, and this is 1500 liters. A type cylinder of nitrous oxide. Now you can see this is the A type oxygen, A type. Here you can see the valve. Valve is not bull nose like this. Valve has to be connected to the boils machine to get oxygen. It cannot be opened and just give oxygen within the ward. So this is A type, and this is B type, and this is D type, and this is the carbon dioxide C type. A, B, C, and D. But C does not have oxygen. How much oxygen is there? Oxygen cylinder pressure. This physics you can learn little later, because normally it is 660 liters. If it comes to half, it will be 330 liters. If it comes down, you can see that is 165 liters approximately. It contains 650 liters. 6 liters per minute means how many minutes? 100 minutes maximum. That is 2.5 hours. That is what we should know. A full cylinder of A type contains, or B type cylinder the ward contains 1400 liters. If you are going to give 6 liters per minute, it may come to 200 minutes. That means around 3.5 hours. That is what we should know basically. These cylinders are not filled completely, but only to a filling ratio. Weight of a gas in a cylinder by weight of the water that a cylinder can hold is a filling ratio. So filling ratio of nitrous oxide is 0.75 and 0.67 in the tropics. So it is around this 0.7, 0.67 for nitrous oxide. So this is liquid nitrous oxide. Tare weight and the difference. Tare weight is empty cylinder weight. Empty cylinder weight, oxygen set total weight, then you can separate this to find out the difference of how much weight of the gas is contains. 90% nitrous incident, that's between volume. Yes, we will leave it because it is related to oxygen cylinders. Now we should know this. 100 pkPa is equal to 1000 mbar is equal to 700 millimeter of mercury is equal to 1000 centimeter of water is equal to 14.7 psi is equal to 1 atmosphere. 1 atmosphere the 760 millimeters is equal to 100 pKa. It is equal to 1000 centimeters is equal to 14.7 psi. 2000 psi na paatenge. 14.7 psi is 1 atmosphere. Understand? Now storage. Not stored along with non-medical cylinders. It is very important. Some other cylinder will be there. You should not store with the LPG gas cylinders. It should be stored only with medical cylinders. Undercovered and not subjected to extremes of heat. Put it in ice cream, ice, or put it in extreme flames. Should not be done. Dry, clean, and ventilated. Because something gas escapes, it should go out. That's what they first told. No, you go inside the kitchen, some smell comes, open all the windows. How does the smell come in LPG? Petroleum gas is not smelling. They add methyl mercaptans to make the sulfur or very nauseating gas. Mercaptans is sulfur, so that is why it is nauseating, and we have to open all the ventilators, all these things, and should not touch your switches. So that is the same principle applies here. Slightly well ventilated, dry and clean. Good access for deliveries and reasonably level floor. Okay, my oxygen cylinders are here, 7 feet above. But is we kept here, and it has to be kept down, and then 3 people have to go down, and all these things should not be there. Yes, the cylinder transport trolley is coming. We have to be reasonably easier to shift the cylinders from there to there. Segregation of full and empty cylinders. Empty. I have seen one intelligent OT technician. He writes MT, capital M and capital T to cylinders. If you read it, empty, yes, this cylinder is empty. He is very intelligent OT technician. Permit separation of different gases and cylinder size. Yes, the area should be like this. Everything should not be dumped there. This nitrous, this is oxygen, this is medical air. All these things should be separated, segregated. Where is the full oxygen? Where is the empty oxygen? All things should be separated, and it should be dry. Sometimes some people keep in the basement all these things. As soon as the rainfall comes, the basement is full of water. All these problems should not be there. We should be foolproof in keeping those areas dry, clean, and well ventilated. Allow for strict stock rotation to enable cylinders. I have seen one hospital where the nitrous oxide was filled 15 years back. 15 years back. You cannot do all these things. You have to keep the stock in such a way for your whatever the patient load, and it should be able to rotate those things. So this is what no sources of heat and ignition, prohibit smoking and naked lights. Sometimes they do either puja, no? Nothing is allowed. Large cylinders are stored vertically in concrete pens. Small cylinders horizontally in wood or plastic racks. Temperature where full entanox are stored. No unauthorized entry. What is cracking? No, as soon as you take the cylinder, new cylinder is coming. We are going to attach to the piles. Okay. Now what you do is it's like you open it and close. This is what is called cracking. So because sometimes there may be small dirt in the outlet port. If you fix it to the boils and open, the dirt may go and block the boil side portion. So that it should not happen. So what is that is what is called cracking. We are having, if you open, Nothing happens, close, we are safe. A sealing washer is in good condition. Open valve before bringing the apparatus to the patient. Closed flow control valve before the cylinder valve is open. I have seen flow control valve when the cylinder is full, 16. You open the oxygen, tatak, the flow control valve will go and stick to the top. It will not come down. While opening, stand to the side and not in the front or the back. Sometimes quick opening can generate heat and flames. So crack, slowly then close, then attach, slowly open, and then at the time you be at the side of the cylinder, and also you should close the flow control valve. There should not be any naked flames or anything like that. Well ventilated areas. Open the cylinder, check the pressure. Hissing sound, replace the washer. Where is the leak? If the leak is in valve itself, tighten the packing nut. Cylinder tightening is different. Packing nut tightening is different. If no hissing sound, check for loss of pressure. Valve should be open. See, many people do this. Open the cylinder, and stop. Nothing like that. You should do full 3 rounds to say, I have opened the cylinder. Not like this. Because sometimes it may not come. If you go 1.5 rounds only, good pressure will come. So whenever you say, I have opened the cylinder valve, means you should completely circle 3 times. An empty should not be left on anesthesia machine. I have seen this so many times. Empty cylinders in the anesthesia machine. I have seen one more interesting things. One consultant surgeon is telling, I'm not going to reveal any person and any place. He is telling he owns a nursing home and he keeps always boils machine out. The cylinder out of boils machine. He removes the cylinder and keeps. And he says the cylinder is an extra weight for the boils machine. Nothing like that. The boils machine are manufactured to hold all these things, and don't think this cylinder is a weight extra or anything like that. An empty should not be left on the anesthesia machine. The same is everywhere. Empty metazolam, empty thiopental, nothing like that. An empty should not be left on the anesthesia machine. Close the valve before removing from the regulator. If the cylinder is empty, remove, nothing like that. Even if it is there, you close the valve. Caps, here you put the caps here before sending it for refill. So these are all the various ways we can put like this. This is the bars, and this is the we can open it and close it here, and this is the lock. And here also we can put the cylinders here. This is okay. This is also okay, but here we should not keep in front like this without any support. If it falls, that's all. Sometimes if a cylinder falls and this is at such a pressure, if it opens, it will break open even 1 foot wall. Your operation theater wall will go out and it will fall in the other side of the wall. It will go to the recovery room. If it breaks, that is what is very dangerous. It will go through us. So all these things need to be present whenever you are operating a cylinder, because there is no use of oxygen cylinders without all these things. Testing the cylinder by the factory is a separate thing. I'm just touching. Hydraulic test, tensile test, flattening test, impact test, bend test. What is flattening test? Cylinder is kept between 2 compression blocks and the pressure is applied from both sides until the distance between the blocks remains 6 times the thickness of the valves, where you have to keep. Now at this time, the valves should not crack. What is that? You are compressing it. Now the thickness is 1 centimeter. Okay. Now you are compressing. 1 into 6, how much? 6 centimeters. The distance between this block should be only 6 centimeters. At that much compression you have to make, the walls of this should not crack. Then this is what is called flattening test. The cylinder is subjected to a pressure of 22,000 kPa. It is more than 50% of the normal working pressure. More than that, increase, nothing happens. So we should not transfill the cylinder. Okay, I have got one big cylinder. I have got one small cylinder. From there I will transfer. Nothing like that. It is usually performed by the trained engineer or technician. But we have got transfilling valves like this. From here, if you big cylinder, from you can attach the small cylinders here. But we are not supposed to do all these things. Hazards. What are the hazards? Yes, it can cause projectile damage. That is what I told. Fires, cold thermal injuries. Gases and vapors should be free of water vapor when stored in cylinders. Water vapor freezes and blocks the exit when the temperature of the cylinder decreases on opening. Okay. This water vapor freeze means ice particles should be there. You can see very well see in the nitrous oxide cylinder. Nitrous oxide cylinder, as soon as any gas, especially which is from the liquid, not for oxygen, okay, liquid becomes gas. It needs latent heat of vaporization. How much? For this, some energy is needed. That energy is taken from the atmosphere. So the atmosphere heat energy is less. The atmosphere surrounding the valve will be little cooler, and then automatically the water vapor inside condenses and becomes ice particles. Okay, so this happens because the liquid has to become vapor. This needs energy. It takes from the atmosphere. The atmosphere becomes cooler. The water vapor shrinks and becomes ice. Okay. So cylinders are made up of alloys, mostly iron. Rarely it is made up of aluminum for the sake of MRI machines. What are the parts? Body, neck, shoulder and neck. In the neck, there is a valve. Valves are many types. So routine by the side will be there. Integral valves are there. So many things. Pin index 2.5 for the oxygen. This is 9/16 of a radius of curvature. Color coding black and white, black or black, but sometimes it fades. Sizes A, B, D for oxygen, C for neoprotone carbon dioxide. Safe use, testing, and hazards. It can break through the testing. We are told how to keep please store. And what's the karmic? Stick to basics.
Hello. Hello. Dr. Manjunath.
There is some problem with the internet.
Yeah, we can go for the next speaker. Dr. Manjunath.
Yes, sir, I'm here, sir.
Yeah, we can go for the next speaker.
Okay,
I think
sir,
the recording is over.
Okay, sir. Okay. So I think I thank Dr. Parsarthi that he has done wonderfully that regarding the basics of the cylinders, how the cylinders are manufactured and how it is the fillings, everything, and how the safe handling of the cylinders and pin index. He has definitely done a wonderful job regarding that. So I think any questions we're going to take on the last, I think after the last lecture. So next I will invite Dr. Grishma to start a lecture regarding the oxygen journey. I think each and everyone knows about oxygen, but still there are a lot of other things to know, basics of oxygen. And I invite Dr. Grishma to go regarding start our presentation right now. Dr. Grishma in Murdeshwar.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Dr. Grishma in Murdeshwar is our assistant professor in the Department of Anesthesiology and Mysore Medical College and Research Institute. And she is wonderful in teaching, and her presentation was really good, sir. And I hope everyone will going to enjoy her presentation. It's over to Dr. Grishma.
Dr. Manjunath.
Yes, sir.
I think your assistant is assisting you so much. She has put up 2 S for assistant.
Assist, yeah, yes, sir.
Right. Carry on.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You were wonderful in these things. Your poetic language and your each and everything you are seeing, sir. Thank you, Dr. Grishma. It's over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Dr. Grishma Murdeshwar, working as Assistant Professor at Department of Anesthesiology, Mysore Medical College and Research Institute. Today's my topic is about the commercial preparation of the oxygen and its journey in the body. I'm very thankful to the ISA Tamil Nadu Pudukkottai City branch for giving me this opportunity. Air is the main source of the oxygen. Its components is 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen, and 1% of other gases. Large scale of oxygen is produced by the process of cryogenic fractional distillation in the air separation unit. And the license for the generation of this medical oxygen is granted by the Drug Controller General of India. The first medical oxygen was produced in the large scale by von Linde and Hampson in 1865 Germany. The process of generation of this oxygen is called as cryogenic fractional distillation because it is something which is taking place at the temperature below minus 150 degrees Celsius. This is how the air separation unit looks. This is a model of air separation unit where the air is taken into a chamber. After taking the chamber, it is filtrated. The water vapors and the dust from the air is separated from it by using the absorbents. This pre-treated air is further subjected to the compression. As the air is compressed, the temperature of the air increases. Later, it is subjected to the cooling effect. When the air is cooled, the temperature of the air will decrease up to around minus 200 degrees Celsius by using liquid nitrogen at around minus 196 degrees Celsius. As the cooling of the air takes place, it liquefies. When this process continues, at around minus 79 degrees Celsius, the carbon dioxide is separated from the liquefying air as frozen carbon dioxide. This liquefied air will be further collected into a chamber, and from there it will be collected into another fractional distillation chamber where it undergoes fractional distillation. In this method, the different components of the air, especially nitrogen, argon, and oxygen, are separated based on their boiling point. Among these three gases, nitrogen, which has got the least boiling point, will form the gas at the topmost portion of the fractional distillation chamber. Next comes the argon, which has got a boiling point of around minus 186 degrees Celsius. At the bottom of the chamber will be the oxygen, which has got a boiling point of around minus 183 degrees Celsius. It will be in the liquefied form. This oxygen will be a crude oxygen, which will be again subjected to the fractional distillation, so that there is generation of the pure form of liquid oxygen. This entire process of generation of the liquid oxygen is from the primary plant. From the primary plant, the oxygen will be transferred to the secondary plant. This secondary plant will be usually located at a site which is very close to the customers. In the secondary plant, the oxygen will be stored either as liquid oxygen or as a gaseous oxygen. The conversion from the liquid oxygen to the gaseous oxygen will occur with the help of the vaporizers. From the secondary plant, the oxygen finally reaches the customers. This is how the transportation of the liquid oxygen tank happens. It can be transferred either via the truck, train, and as we all know that during COVID-19 pandemic, it was transferred even by using the aircrafts. The oxygen which is generated by this process of fractional distillation is around 99 to 100% pure. It is free from halogens, polymers, oxidizing substances, and moisture. It doesn't cause any damage to gas cylinders, pipelines, anesthesia machines, or ventilators. The content of the carbon monoxide in this is less than 300 parts per million. This is unlike the industrial oxygen, which has got very high quantity of the impurities. This is the liquid oxygen tank, which has got two walls. One is an inner steel wall, the other one is a outer carbon steel wall. Between these two is a vacuum, and this vacuum is filled with the insulating material like perlite. The liquid oxygen will be at the bottom, and above this will be the gaseous oxygen, which vaporizes. And the pressure which has to be built within this liquid oxygen, it has to be between 12 to 20 bars, that is around 140 to 290 psi, pounds per square inch. If the pressure rises, there are valves in the tank so that the oxygen vents. The capacity of this liquid oxygen tank can vary between 2,000 liters to around 20,000 liters. Oxygen tank has got around two valves. These are the two filling valves to fill the lower portion as well as the upper portion. So one is connected to the lower portion of the tank, the other is connected to the upper portion of the tank. There is a pressure gauge indicating the pressure in the tank, and also there are pressure relief system. Whenever there is mild buildup of the pressure in the cylinders, we can open the valve manually to decrease the pressure. But there are also pressure valves which can get opened spontaneously. That is in the condition where there is extensive buildup of the pressure in the cylinders. If the cylinder is not used for several days, the pressure builds up extensively. And if there is overusing of this oxygen, repeatedly, then the pressure within the tank decreases. If the pressure is decreased in the tank, then there is a facility at the bottom of the tank so that the pressure of the liquid oxygen increases. So thus I want to say that in this liquid oxygen tank is having both mechanisms. One is to decrease the oxygen pressure and the other one is to increase the liquid oxygen pressure. So there are some rules and regulations for the installation of this liquid oxygen tank. It should be in the open space. 5 meters around the tank should be vacant. It should be away from the combustible substances, and there should be easy approach of the truck to refill. A liquid oxygen so produced will be traveled to the vaporizers. From here, the gaseous oxygen will be generated. There are two types of vaporizers. One is simple vaporizer, the other one is a duplex vaporizer. Duplex vaporizer is like two sets of vaporizers will be there here. And when one is getting operated, the other one will get defrosted. Gaseous oxygen so produced will be either collected into the gaseous cylinder, or it will be delivered to the patients directly by the pipelines or via the manifold. 1 liter of liquid oxygen will generate around 860 liters of gaseous oxygen. The oxygen, that is a gaseous oxygen, which is coming via the pipelines, if it enters the manifold, then the pressure maintained in the pipelines will be around 150 psi, that equals to around 10 bars. From the manifold, the oxygen will enter into the pipelines to be delivered to the patients. And in these pipelines, the pressure will be maintained between 50 to 60 psi. These are small liquid oxygen cylinders, which is having capacity of around 200 to 2000 liters. It has got vaporizer associated with it for the generation of the gaseous oxygen. One Dura cylinder has got around 220 liters of liquid oxygen, and that is equal to 22 jumbo cylinders. One Porta cylinder has got around 1000 liters, that is equal to 1 kiloliters of liquid oxygen, and this is equal to 100 jumbo cylinders. And one jumbo cylinders 7,000 of gaseous oxygen, 7,000 liters of gaseous oxygen. Some of the important conversion units which we need to know when we are talking about oxygen are as follows. For pressure, 1 bar is equal to 760 mm of Hg, that is equal to 14.7 psi, that is equal to 1 atmosphere, that is equal to 1 kg per square centimeter, that is equal to 100 kilopascals, that is equal to 1030 centimeters of water. For volume, 1 cubic meter is equal to 1000 liters, that is equal to 1 kiloliter. 1 cubic foot is equal to 28.3 liters. 1 gallon is equal to 3.8 liters. 1 liter of oxygen weighs around 1.14 kg. 1 kg is equal to 2.2 pounds. 1 ton is equal to 1000 kilograms, that is approximately equal to 2200 pounds. And 1 metric ton is equal to 1.102 tons. How much gaseous oxygen will be produced by a liquid oxygen tank? We should know about it. We should know it because it has to ultimately match the demand of the hospital gaseous oxygen. As we all are aware, 1 liter of liquid oxygen generates around 860 liters of gaseous oxygen. So let us consider a 10 kiloliters of liquid oxygen tank. So 10 kiloliters into 860 liters. That is equal to 10,000 liters into 860 liters, which ultimately generates around 8,600 kiloliters of gaseous oxygen. Coming to the oxygen cylinder, this is very well explained by Dr. Parthasarathi sir. I'm just going to say it in bits. Oxygen cylinders can be either steel or aluminium. Steel ones are heavy and they are usually stationary, whereas aluminiums are light one and they are portable. Oxygen pressure which is maintained in the cylinders is between 2000 to 2200 psi. There are two sets of name for the cylinders. Older one is A, B, C, D, but newer name has got M. M means medical, and there's a number which is associated with the oxygen cylinders. This number indicates the amount of oxygen which is compressed in the cubic feet. The cylinders has to be marked with ISI, that is Indian Standard of Institute, and the handling of gaseous cylinders is according to the Gas Cylinder Rules 2004. So there are different cylinders in our medical field, and oxygen cylinder has got black body with a white shoulder. These are different oxygen cylinders, and up to E is considered to be smaller cylinders, and the remaining are the bigger cylinders. There can be two types of valve, many types of valve. I'm going to talk about the pin index and the bullnose type of valve. This is pin index, and this is the bullnose type of valve, which has got a hand wheel. So these oxygen cylinders are connected here to the flow meter. This is a pressure gauge indicating the pressure in the cylinders, and this is a flow regulating valve for the adjustment of the flow. The flow meter is connected to the humidifier through which the oxygen is delivered via the tubings. Ultimately, whatever the oxygen is delivered to the via the tubing, depending upon different flow rate, we get a fractional inspirated concentration of the oxygen that depends upon the different types of oxygen delivering devices. Now, what is the durability of the oxygen cylinder? For this, there is a formula, that is cylinder pressure minus residual pressure into tank conversion factor divided by flow rate. What is this residual pressure? Residual pressure is that pressure in the oxygen cylinder below which there is no efficient flow of oxygen to the patient. This is always constant, which is 200 psi. Tank conversion factor is a conversion factor of the cylinder contents from cubic feet to liters, and it is constant for different varieties of cylinders. So now let us consider a E-oxygen cylinder, which is having pressure of around 1200 psi. Tank conversion factor is 0.28, and the flow rate used for the patient is around 2 liters per minute. So the duration of this oxygen cylinder is as follows: 1200 minus 200 into 0.28 divided by 2. So this gives approximately around 140 minutes, that is equal to 2.3 hours. Number of cylinders which is needed for during the patient transportation is as follows: journey duration divided by duration of each cylinder. We have already calculated, we have discussed how to calculate the duration of each cylinder. Coming to the journey duration is calculated considering the stops in between for the patient management. This is the manifold with the two sets of cylinders, and from here the oxygen will flow via the pipelines. The pipelines for the oxygen is white in color, and here the pipeline pressure will be around 50 to 60 psi. There are two types of outlets for the pipelines: the wall outlet or the ceiling outlet. The pipelines are made up of copper, steel, or nickel alloys. These are the square socket of the pipeline outlets, which will be connected to the flow meter and further to the oxygen delivering devices. Now, as of now, we have discussed about oxygen travel up to the pipeline outlet. Calculation of the amount of oxygen, gaseous oxygen produced by the liquid oxygen, calculation of duration of oxygen cylinder. The next question is, what type of oxygen has to be used in the hospital, whether liquid oxygen tank or a cylinder? It depends upon what is the hospital demand. So how we are going to calculate the hospital demand? So WHO recommends a certain flow rate for different types of beds in the hospital. That is around 0.75 liters per minute for a regular bed, 7 liters per minute for the OT beds, 30 liters per minute for the ICU beds. So this, whatever is there, it applies to all varieties of oxygen delivering devices except HFNC, for which there is a very high flow rate around 60 liters per minute. And I just want to say that whatever WHO recommends, it is not universal. It varies from region to region, depending upon how is the pandemic condition of a respiratory disease and how is the government rules in a particular area. So now let us calculate the oxygen demand of a 100-bedded hospital, which has got 70 regular beds, 5 OT beds, and 24 ICU beds. So oxygen requirement in this 100-bedded hospital is number of regular beds into flow rate, plus number of OT beds into flow rate, plus number of ICU beds into flow rate. Substitute the value, we get the oxygen demand of the hospital in liters per minute. If we multiply each by 60, we get the oxygen requirement in liters per hour. So for this 100-bedded hospital, the requirement oxygen is around 50,250 liters per hour. So if you multiply by 24, you get the requirement in a day, the oxygen requirement in a day. That is, for this hospital, it is around 12,06,000 liters per 24 hours. Or you can say it as 1,206 kiloliters per 24 hours, or 1,206 cubic meter per 24 hours, or cubic meters per day. So we got to know the hospital requirement. Now, how long 10 kiloliters of liquid oxygen tank will last in this 100-bedded hospital? For this, you have to divide oxygen produced divided by hospital demand. We have already calculated the oxygen which is produced by 10 kiloliters of liquid oxygen tank, that comes to around 8,600 cubic meters. And our hospital demand is around 1,206 cubic meter of oxygen per day. So after calculating, it comes to around 7.13 days. It is approximately around 6 to 8 days. So after 6 to 8 days, this tank has to be refilled. So something about, so far we have discussed about oxygen and the cylinders, oxygen and the liquid oxygen tank, something regarding oxygen and the anesthesia workstation. So in the anesthesia workstation, there is a provision such that the cylinder oxygen pressure will be maintained always lesser than the pipeline oxygen pressure. This is for the preferential use of the pipeline oxygen rather than the cylinder oxygen by the workstation. And there are a diameter index safety system for the pipeline coupling and the pin index safety system in the cylinders. All this prevents the attachment of the wrong gas. And there are various safety mechanisms in the workstation to prevent delivery of the hypoxic gas mixture to the patients. So one source of oxygen, as I have said, is the fractional distillation. Another source is oxygen concentrators or pressure swing adsorption. So the principle with the cylinders has been already discussed, whereas here the concentrators, here air at high pressure will be passed through an adsorbent, which adsorbs nitrogen and filters the air. This filtered air will be reaching the oxygen. The flow with the cylinders will be more than 10 liters per minute, whereas with the concentrators, it will be between 1 to 10 liters per minute. Purity of the oxygen will be 90 to 99% with the cylinders, whereas it is 90 to 95% with the concentrators, which is lesser. The work duration with the cylinders is still the pressure falls, whereas with the concentrators, it usually is up to 24 hours, but again, it depends upon the power supply because uninterrupted power supply is required for the oxygen concentrator working. Portability is difficult with the cylinders, but concentrators, it has got wheels, so it becomes easy. The cylinders is predominantly used for the moribund patients, whereas concentrators is used at the home and whose demand is less for the oxygen, and it can also be used in the crisis period where we don't have adequate oxygen supply. The cost of the cylinders will be less at the beginning, but repeated refilling over a long time, it makes it costly. Whereas oxygen concentrators are expensive at the beginning, but it becomes economical at a long run. This is how the oxygen concentrator looks with the wheels. Now, so far we have discussed about oxygen relation with the workstation, oxygen concentrators, oxygen cylinders, and liquid oxygen tank. Now let's see what happens to the oxygen within our body. So this is the oxygen cascade, which shows the flow of the oxygen from the atmosphere to the mitochondria along the pressure gradient. Initially, the oxygen enters the airway. From here, it enters the alveoli. From alveoli, it enters into the artery. And from artery, it will be carried to the various tissues. The inspired partial pressure of oxygen is equal to atmospheric pressure minus water vapor pressure into fractional inspiration of oxygen. There is FiO2. The alveolar partial pressure of oxygen is equal to inspirated partial pressure of oxygen minus partial pressure of carbon dioxide divided by respiratory quotient. The alveolar to arterial diffusion of the oxygen is directly proportional to the surface area of the diffusion membrane and the concentration gradient of the oxygen across the membrane. It is inversely proportional to the thickness of the diffusion membrane. The normal value of the alveolar to arterial difference of the oxygen is between 5 to 25 mg/Hg. But this can increase, and the various reasons for the increase of this alveolar to arterial gradient, and one of the main reason is venous admixture of excessive shunt. The oxygen is finally carried in the blood. It is bounded to the hemoglobin, or it will be dissolved form. So in these two forms, the oxygen will be carried in the blood. So this is a calculation for the content of the oxygen in the blood, which you all are aware of. And blood transfusion also can increase the oxygen content in the blood because it builds up the hemoglobin. This is the oxygen dissociation curve, which shows the relationship between the partial pressure of oxygen and the hemoglobin saturation with the oxygen, which has got a sigmoid shape, indicating that at a particular partial pressure, as the partial pressure of oxygen increases, the saturation increases, but at a particular partial pressure, it remains constant. The saturation of the hemoglobin becomes constant. And there are various conditions like pH, presence of 2,3-diphosphoglycerate, or temperature, which shifts these curves either to the left side or the right side. Left shift of the curve indicates a very high affinity of the hemoglobin to the oxygen and decreased release of oxygen to the tissues, whereas right shift indicates a decreased affinity between the oxygen and hemoglobin and increased release of the oxygen to the tissues. Global oxygen delivery per minute or oxygen flux is equal to cardiac output into arterial content of the oxygen. So volume of oxygen which is consumed by the tissue per minute is equal to cardiac output into arterial and venous, difference in the arterial and venous content of the oxygen. Oxygen extraction ratio is a fraction of oxygen which is delivered, taken up by the tissues. That is equal to oxygen which is consumed by the tissues divided by delivered to the tissues, which comes to approximately around 0.25. This is the curve between the oxygen which is consumed by the tissues and delivered to the tissues. As the delivery to the tissues decreases, at a particular point, the consumption of the oxygen remains constant because of the increase in the oxygen extraction ratio. But later, as the delivery decreases, we can see when there is decrease in the consumption of the oxygen. And this is the critical point of delivery of the oxygen, because after this, the tissue hypoxia will result, which can go for necrosis. So ultimately, this oxygen, which is used by various cells, will cause the metabolism. Glucose is used in the aerobic metabolism. Glucose is used and the ATP is produced. with water and carbon dioxide as a byproduct. Carbon dioxide is further exhaled. If not, if there is no oxygen, then there will be anaerobic metabolism resulting in lactic acid production, and hence there will be increased content of the lactic acid. So something about the COVID-19 pandemic, we all are aware of it, and it was a lesson which taught us many things and the importance of oxygen. India during this time had got a lot of crisis of oxygen, especially during the second wave. And central government and state government had taken several measures to improve the oxygen supply to various regions of India. Special trains were arranged to supply liquid oxygen from one state to another. Many hospitals were sanctioned permission to establish new oxygen plants. Thousands of new oxygen plants emerged. And India reached daily production capacity of oxygen from around 700 million tons before COVID to around 9,400 million tons of liquid oxygen as per the data of May 2021. Finally, I just want to say that being into the field, medical field, we have to respect oxygen. We should learn to conserve it. And please do not use oxygen unnecessarily. If not in use, close the oxygen knob. These are my references. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Grishma, for a wonderful talk on oxygen. And she has done wonderfully regarding the commercial preparation of oxygen, and also the how to calculate oxygen in a particular hospital bed strength of and liquid oxygen, gaseous oxygen, and a gaseous oxygen plant. She is wonderfully taught about regard oxygen and other things. We're going to take on the some questions later part of this talk. So, Meenakshi sir, shall we move ahead with the next lecture of our postgraduate?
Yes, yes, you can. You
yes,
can.
Sir. Yes, sir. So we're going to take the questions, and at the later part of this, another 10 minutes is remaining. So we'll ask Dr. Sonika to come to take the lead and start our artifacts in the pulse oximeter. Dr. Sonika.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Sonika is a final year exam going students in our Department of Anesthesiology, Mysore Medical College. She will go to talk on artifacts in pulse oximeters, because every day, in and day out, we are using pulse oximeter. It is just like a lifeline for all of us, without which it is very difficult to manage our patients. So it is part and parcel of our anesthesiologist's life. So it's over to Dr. Sonika.
Thank you, sir. First, I would like to thank Dr. Manjunath HG sir, Dr. Meenakshi Sundaram sir, and Dr. Suresh Kumar sir for giving me the opportunity today to present this topic. And I'm too honored to share the screen with Dr. Parthasarathy sir and Dr. Grishma madam. Today, my topic is artifacts in pulse oximeter. Before moving into topics per se, I would like to brief about pulse oximeter. As we all know, how the evolution of monitoring has changed in anesthesia, and the pulse oximeter is the one of the big things that has come through. So for simple reason being, it is small, lightweighted, and also it's a portable device which is used to measure the oxygen saturation. So the pulse oximeter is a non-invasive method of measuring hemoglobin saturation, that is SpO2, by using a light signal transmitted through the tissue. It is often called as a fifth vital sign. The American Society of Anesthesiologists and American Association of Nurse Anesthetists have made the assessment of oxygenation a standard for the intraoperative and postoperative monitoring. In addition to measuring the oxygen saturation, pulse oximeter with additional wavelengths are now available to measure the carboxyhemoglobin and also methemoglobin. The operating principles are, the pulse oximeter combines two principles. That is, one is spectrophotometry, the other one is a plethysmography. Spectrophotometry measures the hemoglobin saturation, and plethysmography measures the pulsatile changes in the arterial blood volume of the sensor site. First, spectrophotometry. As we all know, all the atoms and molecules observe specific wavelength of light. This property is basis for the spectrometry. A pulse oximeter estimates SpO2 from the differential absorption of red and infrared light in the blood. As we can see in this diagram, we have got two wavelengths. One is of 660 nanometer, another one is of 940 nanometer. 660 nanometer is of red band, 940 nanometer of infrared band. At the 660 nanometer, the deoxyhemoglobin, which is shown in the blue line, absorbed more, whereas at a 940 nanometer, oxyhemoglobin is absorbed more. The pulse oximeter computes the ratio between these two signals and relates this ratio to the arterial oxygen saturation by an empirical algorithm. So the spectrophotometry is based on the Beer-Lambert's law. A combination of these two laws describes the absorption of a monochromatic light by a transparent substance through which it passes. First one is the Beer's law. It states that the intensity of a transmitted light decreases exponentially as the concentration of the substance increases. And the Lambert's law states that the intensity of a transmitted light decreases exponentially as the distance traveled through the substance increases. So by combining these two laws, that is Beer-Lambert's law, it is expressed in a following equation. That is IE. IE is the intensity of a transmitted light is given by IO, that is intensity of an incident light into multiplied by e to the power d Ca, whereas E is the natural algorithm, D is the distance that light is transmitted through, and C is the concentration of the solute, and A is the extinction coefficient. Moving on to the next principle, the next operating principle, that is plethysmography. So the measurement of a volume changes from fluctuation in the amount of blood or air within the organ or of a whole body is called as a plethysmography. So pulse oximeter need to analyze only the arterial blood, ignoring the other tissues. So we use the principle of plethysmography. Absorption of light passing through a tissue is characterized by two components. One is the AC component, another one is the DC component. AC component is the absorption due to pulsatile arterial blood, whereas DC component is contains non-pulsatile arterial blood, venous and capillary blood, and also tissues. So thus the red and infrared ratio of these pulsatile differences can be used to compute the pulse oximetry reading, that is SP2, SpO2, which is estimate of arterial oxygen saturation. Now coming to the types of pulse oximeter, we have two types of pulse oximeter. One is a transmission pulse oximeter, other one is the reflectance pulse oximeter. In the transmission pulse oximeter, light is transmitted through the vascular bed and detected on the opposite side of the bed, wherein the LED and photo detector are kept on the opposite side. As in this diagram, we can see the LED and detector are kept on the opposite side of the bed. Whereas in the reflectance pulse oximeter, light gets reflected from the emitter to a detector across the side. The probe has both LED and detector on the same side. Now, the various sites where we can apply the pulse oximeter probe, the most common being the tip of the finger, toes, palms and soles in the neonates and infants, nose, ear, cheek, and forehead. Outputs from pulse oximeter. We have three outputs from the pulse oximeter, that is SpO2 value, SpO2 waveform, and SpO2 audible intensity. Here in this diagram, we can see the SpO2 waveform, SpO2 value, and there is an audible intensity. So all the pulse oximeter emits a beep sound after detecting a plethysmographic pulse, which coincide with each output. The pitch of the beep is proportional to SpO2. So now talking about today's topic, that is artifacts in the pulse oximeter. In our day-to-day life, we encounter them very often. The various artifacts being motion artifacts, nail polish and coverings, electromagnetic interference, poor perfusion, and irregular rhythm. I'll be dealing with each of them in detail. First, this is the normal signal which we get in the pulse oximeter, and this is the motion artifact. And this is the noise artifact which we see in electromagnetic interference, and this is the waveform which we see in the low perfusion. First, the motion artifact. Motion at the sensor site can cause artifact that pulse oximeter is unable to differentiate from the arterial pulsation. So the causes for motion artifacts are shivering, inhalation induction in children, transportation, evoked potential monitors and nerve stimulator if pulse oximeter is on the same extremity, and neonates with the tiny digits and poor contact with the probe. How are we going to recognize these motion artifacts? So there is an erratic display of the pulse rate, distorted waveform, and also increase in the pulse amplitude. In this diagram, we can see that this is the motion artifact where there is a distorted waveforms and also there is a increase in the pulse amplitude. So how are we going to reduce these motion artifacts? So first, use ear, cheek, and nose probes which are more reliable than the finger probes. And also the proper positioning of the sensor on the different extremity to avoid the stimulation. If you are using any nerve stimulators or any BP curves, we should place the sensor, that is the pulse oximeter, on the different hand. And adhesive flexible probes, use of R-wave in ECG to synchronize the optical measurement, and the newer technology called Massimo signal extraction technology, that is also known as SET, used algorithm to process the light signal to measure and subtract the noise component. So the next artifact is being nail polish and the coverings. All the colors of nail polish can affect the SpO2 readings. Majorly black, blue or green color has the greatest effect and result in the underestimation of a saturation. So along with the nail polish, we have synthetic nails, dirt under nails, and also onychomycosis, that is the fungal infection which is caused in the fingers, and also henna can interfere with the reading. So the next being the electromagnetic interference. Electromagnetic interference from the cautery can interfere the pulse oximeter reading. The effect is transient and limited to the duration of the cauterization. So how are we going to overcome this problem? So pulse oximeter sensor is kept far away from the surgical site and electrosurgery ground plate. And we have one more new pulse oximeter that is called as a data scope, which can be totally immune to the cautery interference. So the next one being the poor perfusion. As we all know, we use the operating principle of the plethysmography in the pulse oximeter. So good pulse waveform is essential for oximeter to calculate the ratio of a pulsatile to a non-pulsatile absorbance and derive a saturation. As we can see in the diagram, this is the normal signal, and in the low perfusion, we get the low amplitude waveforms. So in conditions like hypovolemia, hypotension, hypothermia, and proximal BP cuff inflation, and also Valsalva manure in labor patient, there can be poor perfusion. So to minimize this, we can warm the extremities and place the BP cuff on the different hand, and also use the probes with the SET technology. Now, last being the irregular rhythm. So during the tachyarrhythmias, rapid atrial fibrillation, and also intra-atrial balloon pulsation, pulse oximeter readings is unreliable. So these are the few artifacts which come across in our day-to-day life. So these are my references. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Sonika, for wonderful lecture on the artifacts of pulse oximeter. And you dealt in very detail regarding the artifacts and how to overcome these artifacts. Usually in day-to-day practice, we're going to have this type of problems in our routine monitoring of pulse oximeter, and everyone should know that. And a simple things, if you are not getting this proper S1 signals, you can wipe it with the spirit and spirit swabs. That's also more. The simple thing is just wipe the finger with the spirit swab, and you can reconnect it. That also you can use it for proper monitoring. So if you have a monitoring, so you can safely give anesthesia for these things. Dr. Lakshmi Meenakshi sir, so any questions we would like to take?
First you take the chat box questions.
Yes, sir.
Then it is open for everyone.
Yeah, first chat box question somebody has asked about regarding the woods material. So woods metal.
Yeah, see, I will do one thing.
Yes,
that Parsardi is engaged in a different thing. See, I think he has asked about woods metal.
Yes,
so
sir.
Woods metal is a combination of bismuth, cadmium, lead. So actually, bismuth is 50%. Then your cadmium, lead, cadmium, tin, it constitutes 50%. It is in the ratio of 26.7 and 13.3, and the last is 10%.
Yes.
So this is this woods metal. It is not a wood. It is Barnabas wood has devised this combination. It has a low melting point, so it is used as a soldering material in many of the things. So whenever the heat is generated by the movement of the cylinder, before it explodes, the pressure produces heat, and this woods metal melts because it has a low boiling point. So the gases escape through that woods metal, so it will not produce explosion. So it is used as a soldering material to bridge the gap between the main cylinder and the valve outlet. So that is woods metal. The next question for Parsari, I think the cylinder sizes. I think he has explained it very clearly. The type A cylinder holds 650 liters of oxygen. Type B cylinder holds 1350 liters of oxygen, and type D carries 7000 ml of oxygen. I think he has explained
Yes,
it
sir.
in his lecture.
And nowadays, what is called a jumbo cylinder is also is available, sir. Nowadays, we are
Yeah.
using it. Yeah.
See, the thing is, actually, when Dr. Grishma talked about the conversion of metric units, I was so surprised and thrilled. Imagine the load of anesthesiologist. See how many figures we remember. She's
Yes, sir.
converting like anything. One atmosphere is 760 millimeters of mercury, that is equal to 14 point PSA. See how many things we have to remember. People are taking us as a joke, but see how much we are learning. Now, when we talk about 4 cylinders, then we have to remember what is the height of the cylinder, diameter of the cylinder. Then now you are coming out of the jumbo cylinders. Sometimes I feel the innovations should be blocked at least for a while so that we will be thorough with the prior thing, basics. How many things? See, even in the tank, oxygen tank, how much he says. And in administration, as administrator, even now I say, how many oxygen cylinders we require? I will say you ask the chief anesthesiologist. See, it is a mind-boggling work. So we need not create this jumbo cylinder, this tank and all. Madam has given for even liquid oxygen tank, jumbo tank, small tank, medium tank. This is just like a skirt, a mini skirt, maxi. How much we can remember? It is very difficult. So we will remember. He has put it very clearly. A, B, D. C is for pneumoperitoneum carbon dioxide cylinder. So we can easily remember C for carbon dioxide, A, B, D. It is only 650, 1350, 7000. That is this basic they remember, right? So for jumbo, for the people who are having a jumbo skills like Sonika, Grishma, Manjunath, they can remember all these jumbo things.
Sir, we use usually with a H type of cylinder for jumbo. So for that, we are using it for in our this in our store, and we use it for these cylinders for a bulk supply, where your manifold is there is oxygen manifold. So I think Dr. Grishma has shown it as oxygen manifold. Mainly, we have the gaseous form and liquid form, sir. Gaseous form, you're using it for a liquid, that is a jumbo cylinder, that H type of cylinder. And a gaseous, the liquid form, you use it when Dura cylinders. There is a bigger cylinder, and at the oxygen plant. Only 3, sir. And Adarshi has told about this the pressure absorption technology, PSA technology of oxygen concentrator. But medically, we are not supporting this type of oxygen concentrator. That is, thing is, oxygen is not pure. It is somewhere around 94.5% of oxygen you're going to get it, and require a lot of supporting system for maintaining this one. So we are
Even
mainly
for Dr. Manjunath, even for PSA,
yes, sir.
the current consumption is phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
And see, the maintenance is very difficult.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now we are used to that liquid oxygen tanks. So
Yes,
that
sir.
can be there because they are straight away filling. PSA, even though we can boast ourselves that we are having a PSA plant, phenomenal operational costs. As admin, I am telling that because
sir.
we have PSA, we have oxygen cylinders, we have liquid oxygen tank also. So, but it is phenomenally high.
Yes, sir.
Very difficult to manage.
Yes, sir.
Anyway,
You are
if
absolutely
the
right, sir.
COVID is not coming,
Yes, sir.
we will be comfortable with the available oxygen store.
Yes, yes, sir. And we would not have gone in detail about the Dura and oxygen plants, sir, because we are just remembering the biomedical engineer used to do all those things. So especially we are the part of oxygen. I used to administer oxygen. We are forgetting about this oxygen supply, and as well as oxygen commercial preparation of oxygen. We never gone into those things, sir. So only during our postgraduate days we used to study and then forget. Now, after COVID, we should know everything and the usage of oxygen and how it will be transported and what is the usage and how everything we have gone in detail about this oxygen, sir. Thanks to COVID, and we are definitely better in these things nowadays.
COVID has pushed everything to the back and brought anesthesiologists to the front.
Yes, yes, sir. You are absolutely right, sir. And everybody knows about our anesthesiologist. So everybody used to ask, where is the anesthesiologist? Where is the anesthesiologist? We need anesthesiologist to manage ICU. So any questions, sir, from audience?
Yeah, I think if there are no chat box questions, I have seen only 2.
Yes, sir.
Only two?
Only two, sir. And no other questions. I'm not able to see any questions at all, sir.
Uh-huh.
Okay, sir.
Then Dr. Sukhdev Nayak also joined. So we can ask Dr. Chakra Rao sir to talk because he has some good
Yeah, sir.
feedback.
Yes, sir.
Chakra sir, please.
My thing is, there are no commercial oxygen companies and medical oxygen companies. Both the oxygen is actually collected from the fractional distillation of the air, and it gives up to 99.96% purity, and it is particle free, dust free, vapor free, and it is excellent. But it is when it is used for medical oxygen, it will be expensive, and the cylinders are shouldered white. Otherwise, there is no difference. And these PSA plants, they give only a 95%. And as Meenakshi told, they are very expensive. And another thing is the oxygen concentrators. These are also very expensive. As you use it, the percentage of oxygen will be decreased, and probably they will be useful only for the chronic patients who are dependent on oxygen and not for administering anesthesia. Many people will say that you connected, sir, we have done this and all, but I don't think you will get even 90% oxygen with the oxygen concentrators. So whatever said and done, the cheapest is the oxygen that is collected from the fractional distillation of air, and that is the best. And of course, all these things have come into existence. Even they are there before, but many things have come from China and other things. They have worked for few months, and later I don't know where they have dumped it, the oxygen concentrators. That is the thing. That is all. And of course, all the speakers are good. They have enlightened very much. And regarding the pulse oximetry, Massimo technology is good, and it is better even with the decreased temperature or with the movement. So that is the one thing I have. And all the speakers are good and excellent. Thank you very much.
Madam, Dr. Santa Parthiban, madam. Dr. Santa Parthiban, madam. Any opinion, madam? Madam is my senior. When I was doing my DA, she was doing her MD. She is a retired professor of MMC. Madam, any opinion, madam?
Any opinion means oxygen concentrate. Nowadays, we are using it in the post-op ward for just for keeping oxygen for the post-operative cases. This we are using the oxygen concentrators, not but in any other room. Oxygen concentrators, we are using it in the post-op rooms, immediate post-op ward or immediate ICU. All these things we are using it. That's all.
Theni Medical College HOD is there, anesthesia. Dr. Kannan, you are online. Dr. Kannan, because he is using liquid oxygen, he is using oxygen concentrator, he is using PSA. So that way, Dr. Agnihotri sir was also there. Dr. Agnihotri sir, you are online. I think if anybody is there to offer comments, they can offer. Dr. Manjunath sir, you can give
Yes,
your
sir.
concluding remarks.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi Sundaram, sir, for a wonderful lesson, sir. S1 webinar, sir. There's a Pudukkottai, I think something what you your Budan, sir. Pudukkottai Budan is really doing very well, and very happy for that. And he is doing it continuously, sir, without any break. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak on this very much important and lifeline of life of oxygen. And I think we have done some justice regarding the oxygen utilization, oxygen transportation, and how it is prepared commercially. And Chakra sir also highlighted the importance of oxygen.
I have visited the Buddha temple also.
Yes.
Once we came to Pudukkottai and went on all the temples.
Dr. Chakrarao has visited a Buddhan temple.
Yes,
So
sir.
he was offered a grand welcome over there.
Yes.
So it is called Thiruvenkadu.
Yes.
He has visited that.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Buddhan.
sir.
We went to the priest house and had food.
Yeah. We have taken lunch in the priest's house.
And I thank our assistant professor, Dr. Grishma and Dr. Sonika for a wonderful presentation. They prepared easily. And I hope everyone will understand. I should understand. I think we're going to share this one, sir. We're going to share this one presentation. And they can use this formulas to calculate the transport of oxygen. Cylinders can be
Please
transported.
keep it on the YouTube. It is very
It is available. Night I will post it in the YouTube.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
YouTube link will be sent to everyone.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So it can be shared because it is very nice, really.
Yes,
It
sir.
is very nice. Instead of reading how to manage a complex shunt, how to manage a blalactasic shunt, I think this is
Yes, sir. This is
mandatory.
definitely. Yes, sir.
This is
This is
mandatory.
practical, sir. Practical problems. This is practically.
They have
And,
done it very nicely. All
yes,
the
sir.
three have done justice to that.
Thank
So
you,
we
sir.
have to thank Dr. Manjunath, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm happy now, sir. When
Yes,
Meenakshi
good.
Sundaram said, there is a meaning, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So,
Over, sir.
okay, sir.
So now, as the scientific session is over, really, my personal remarks, all the three and the chairperson was extremely good. And see, Dr. Manjunath and Pars are here seasoned speakers. But Dr. Sonika, Dr. Grishma has done wonderfully well.
Yes,
Really, they have worked. And so far, I'm happy in Pudukkottai Budan. All the 45 postgraduates have done very well.
Thank you, sir.
Postgraduates have done very well. So at times I used to wonder, they are good at post-graduation time. What happens to them after finishing the post-graduation? I really wonder. All the 45, not even a single failure was there. At least in a faculty, one person had a sore throat. So that was difficult. So one was exceeding the time limit. But all the postgraduates have done very well. And at this time, you have stick to that your time limit. So it is a good control. Today night, the YouTube link will be shared to everyone. I think this will be preserved by everyone because it is very difficult to remember everything.
The calculations and everything, how to calculate for the hospital requirement.
It is good. This oxygen journey is good.
Many people do not know the pressure and all those things. Of course, they know it, but they don't bother.
No, sir.
See,
this oxygen journey, sir. We did it in a DC office, sir. And we calculated the oxygen utilization in KR hospital in our Mysore Medical College and in the entire district, Mysore districts. I was in charge. I was given the in charge from the deputy commissioner that is there. And he was actually very good. And we were able to calculate the whole utilization of oxygen in total, sir. And
actually, this oxygen management, that madam, Solapur madam, suddenly the name is stuck. Other one, she's a good singer also.
Okay,
it is the name. She has done it. It was very well. I have that slides. And now after listening to Dr. Grishma, I think I will do wonderfully well if oxygen journey is given to me. Because so far we were discussing about nasal area to the alveoli and the pulmonary capillary. That is the oxygen journey. Now it is the oxygen journey outside the body. So we will talk about oxygen journey outside the body and inside the body. And now I hand over the session to Dr. Suresh Kumar, sir, our president.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. The session was very wonderful, practical. The whole textbooks was condensed and given to us in the 1 to 1.5 hours. Thanks to the speakers, Professor Dr. Parthasari sir, Dr. Grishma madam, Dr. Shonika resident, and our chairperson, Dr. Manjunath sir, for conducting the session in a wonderful manner. I, as president of ISA Pudukkottai, I personally thank Dr. Chakrarao sir for being present in the whole program and guiding us. Now I welcome our treasurer, Dr. David, to deliver the official vote of thanks. Over to Dr. David.
Yes, sir. Good evening to all. On behalf of ISA Pudukkottai, first, I would like to thank our academic chairman, Dr. ALM sir, for selecting very useful topics for postgraduate as well as practicing anesthesiologist. Thank you, sir. And special thanks to today's chairperson, Dr. Manjunath sir, Professor HOD, Mysore Medical College, Karnataka, for sharing his experiences. Thank you, sir. And I'd like to thank today's speakers, Dr. Parthasavi sir, and Dr. Grishma and Dr. Sonika for academic feast. Thanks to other faculties and postgraduate, Akirola Evan for technical support. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. A1 Logics can end the meeting.
Thank you,
I
sir.
congratulate all the speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the good academic feast. Manjunathan, I will come to Mysore and meet you.
Sir, you have to come, sir. Your South Zone conference is going on, sir. Preparation is there.
When?
August 10th, 11th, 12th, sir. I will going to send you, sir, invitation.
Please send an invitation. I wanted to promote the CPR in India.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
That
We
is
are
very cost-effective trainings. We have to do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are, of course, you are most welcome, sir. And you will be given a special listen, sir, in South Zone. You can take this as an lead, and will give the
we'll conduct
platform.
Workshop also.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.